Hey guys, I'm JanetOnOccasion, and today we're playing another Total War Warhammer II Battle Replay. Now this is a fun one, because it's Bretonnia versus Lizardmen, which is tough. It's an uphill battle for Bretonnia, for sure. This was sent in by Rightest, which used to be Rightest, but I guess now he's not against being right. He's now the most right, I guess. I don't know. I guess. Anyway, so here you can see man-at-arms in the front line. Very cheap stuff, actually. He's got like peasant mobs, just simple man-at-arms, not even with shields. It's all very, very cheap. In the back line, again, really cheap, but actually the best, to be honest. Peasant bowmen, they got the best armor piercing of all the peasant bowmen, but obviously they don't have all the fun tricks like the poison or the fire damage. Fire damage, pointless here, but poison can be very handy to help control the pace of the battlefield. You know, poison will lower stats, it will slow things down. So that's very nice, but he's just got the standard ones for the most armor piercing, so he's got a lot, very wide lines, but all within range of the center, you know. And here he does have some spearman arms guarding the back as well, plenty of spearmen, and very staggered, you know, there's a lot of distance between them, so he has a lot of time to react between, you know, different things getting charged, which is really nice. He's got a couple of Grail Knights here, and a Damsel of Life. Got to, if you're gonna have two Grail Knights, you've just got to. King Lewin, though, absolute powerhouse. He's the only thing that can really just slaughter dinosaurs, because he's got great armor piercing, really good combat stats, stand your ground, you know, giving great melee defense buffs as well. But Sword of Corone is just fantastic for lowering that melee defense. Big monsters don't tend to have the best melee defense anyway, so if you can just completely nuke it, that's pretty much all they have is that 27 melee defense, so to strip that away is brilliant. And also, that armor debuff really contributes a lot, especially when your best sort of, you know, anti-large units don't have a huge amount of armor piercing. So it really helps to strip that away. So I like that. And also there's one other unit somewhere. Where are you, boy? There he is! Green Knight. Never see the Green Knight, I love that, but people rarely bring things like Arcane Unforging or something, so no single target magic damage tends to get brought by the Lizardmen, so huge armor piercing values, huge physical resist, very difficult to kill, and it's just extra terror. And of course, on this map, there's forests down the entire line. And if we have a quick look at the Green Knight, he has this, Sacred Guardian. So it's a constant ability, and is only disabled if he's not in a forest. So basically it means if he's in a forest, he gets his health back. And when he's so difficult to kill with his 75% physical resist, yeah, he's gonna be shrugging off a lot of damage and healing up a lot of health, so that's pretty great. So this front line, pretty typical. Saurus Warriors, they will just beat the brakes off any, you know, units in the front line, except maybe Foot Squires, but when you got Zlak and, you know, Feral Stegodon stamping them all into the ground, you know, the Saurus Warriors have no problem here. Also, there's some extra skinks, just some extra speed, and they will do well against just the basic man-at-arms and things. And obviously, they're very quick for infantry at 46 speed. Let's compare that to the peasant archers, shall we? Yeah, 33. So these guys can have no problem getting to the back line and chewing up some of those archers that they can beat easily. There's also some temple guards, which will help kill a load of the cavalry. So that's very scary indeed. He's also got a couple of, well, he's got Feral Gardasaur, so great anti-large, really good for hunting down Lewin, and Cold on Spear Riders. Again, a lot of mass and a lot of anti-large and armor piercing, very good for dealing with knights. And Lord Mazdamundi, he has the net, he does have Apotheosis for healing, he's got Harmonic Convergence, some extra buffs, Banishment, it's a classic, you know, and free. Well, I say free, you know, it costs funds, but not Winds of Magic. And Shield of the Old Ones for extra resistances, so pretty great all round. This is pretty typical, but also very, very scary. You know, the front line's going to get absolutely crushed by all the Saurus Warriors. And to be honest, the Saurus Warriors, they tend to have enough mass that cavalry charges won't just run through them, you know, they will hold up a fair bit. It's kind of scary. They are pretty capable. So units are pushing forward. The archers have actually pushed forward, try and get some initial damage in to these Saurus Warriors. And it's doing a bit of work. It's doing a bit of work, nothing major. Here you can see the Green Knight has charged straight in already. I mean, just into skin cohorts right now, but, you know, he's made himself known. And, of course, all the Feral Gardasaur and the Cold on Spear Riders, they're going to try and hunt him down. Because, well, you know, they want to get that get, right? They want to be able to deal with him nice and early. But he is just going to run away. 84 speed is pretty quick. And they don't want to keep chasing off that way because Lewin could put in some work around there in their absence. They need to be able to make sure they can get on top of Lewin if they need to. So Grail Knights, they're pushing over this way to figure out where they need to hit, because the Grail Knights are vital here. They need to be putting in a lot of work to keep charging all these guys, because all this army is just a delay. It's never going to win the fight. You know, none of these man-at-arms are going to put in the damage to fight this front line. So the Grail Knights need to be the ones to kill the infantry, so they're going to need to put in a lot of work. Over here, though, Lewin, he's decided to jump into this skink cohort, because if he can, you know, make the man-at-arms here win, that's great. You know, that's absolutely fantastic. It means you've got more man-at-arms to help delay all the other units, and the skinks won't be able to run into your backline and kill you. Now, this is a clutch move. There's a net, but Lewin was just out of combat long enough to get back into the air, so that net is totally wasted. Nothing can get on top of him now, and that is a real pity. That is a real pity for the Lizardmen there, and that just opened up a huge amount of hurt for those Cold One Spear Riders. They ended up in range of all the archers, and that was crippling. Here, there were banishment, because he knows the Peasant Bowmen are the best damage dealers in this line. You know, stuff he could reach at least. But not the best hit. The Peasant Bowmen have had to walk forwards to get out of it, but that just means the Saurus Warriors can start chewing through them. So that's a bit of a pity. So Lewin is going to come down here just to quickly terrify the skink cohort away. There we go. Done. But look at this. Look at this. All the Bretonnian forces are just being buckled. Luckily, though, the skinks took a huge amount of punishment from the Grail Knights quickly charging in. And now the Spearmen are going to start trying to plug in the gaps, try and save the Bowmen, because the Bowmen need saving. So here, Spearmen going to get the skink cohort. And over here, the Green Knight is tackling these Saurus Warriors. He's keeping a unit of Saurus Warriors busy, and he's kind of cool with it. He's not taking much damage at all. So here you can see now Shield of the Old Ones gives some damage resistance. It will help keep the skinks in the fight a bit longer against the Spearmen at arms, and the Grail Knights seem to actually be killing some of them here. I'm not entirely sure how those skinks actually got this spread out. It's kind of interesting, but that's happened, so they're getting whittled down. And then the archers can move on to another target. Over here, though, this Feral Stegodon is going to prove a problem. He's got terror, he's got armor piercing, he's got anti-infantry. He can just stomp through anything. He's got the mass to pick his target. So now Lewin has had to jump in here, use the Sword of Charon. It's going to lower that melee defense down to 5, which means that the Grail Knights, despite not being able to get through the armor quite so well, it's still 90 armor. They still have a lot of anti-large, good weapon strength, and of course, they're going to hit him almost every time with only 5 melee defense, so that's brilliant. But a net has occurred, and Feral Carnosaur running in, Slack is running in, and even this damsel has been bothered a bit. Here, though, Stand Your Ground is going to keep these guys pretty healthy. You know, 57 melee defense is pretty high, but they are taking some damage. All the Saurus Warriors are pushing forward too. Now, I think here, get Mazdamundi on the Spellcaster. If you can wipe out that damsel, that is great news, because here an Earthblood was used, and that wouldn't have been used otherwise, so it means they got out without taking too much damage. They've taken quite a lot, but it could have been a lot worse with a net like that. So I think go for the damsel first, get rid of the ability for them to heal, because those Grail Knights are going to get so much value if they can keep healing up. So over here, the Cold One Spear Riders, they did actually get into the back line, but now a pincer movement by the Grail Knights is surrounding them. Lewin's come in here as well, and these guys will rampage. There we go, they have rampaged. So they're getting taken out. Oh, and there are some Chameleon Skinks too, so that poison will help, you know, knacker the cavalry, basically. You know, big debuff to the cavalry's stats, so really, really nice. So the Green Knight now leaving. He's done some pretty good work to these Saurus Warriors, and all the infantry is sort of piling in while the cavalry piles out. They don't want to be in an engagement that they didn't choose. Over here, though, this Stegodon, he's back, he's doing work, and that's a problem again. You know, Lewin could have wiped him out if it wasn't for that net and all the backup turning up. Here, though, the Temple Guards, they haven't been touched yet. They've just been waiting for a time to get in. They haven't been able to capitalize on those nets either, which is a real pity. And here, another banishment, and let's see, 60 kills to begin with, and now over 100. So that's at least 40, 50 kills now from Mazdamundi. Pretty much wiped out 3 units there. So that is very scary indeed. But this is, well, there's a bit of a mosh pit. But the Grail Knights have still got a nice sandwich here. So there is a lot of infantry in there. There's some skinks. Even the Spellcasters in here fighting. These Cold One Spear Riders have pretty much had it. The Green Knight is barely going to be taking any damage. He can be applying his good armor piercing to a lot of these units. And Lewin is still fine. You know, nothing's really gotten on top of him in a big way. And over here, the Feral Carnosaur actually got rampaged. So he's just going to be chasing things around and he needs to be over here trying to help kill Lewin. So that's pretty grim, but all this infantry is running away, and that's not so good. And Apotheosis putting his health back up because he is a vital tool for killing Lewin. And that poison is certainly going to help too. So here the Grail Knights are going to charge this Feral Carnosaur, and Lewin is going to follow it up. While here you can see the Green Knight is keeping all this stuff busy, all of it. But the Cold One Spear Riders are getting out of this engagement. The charge from them is going to hurt a lot, and now there is a net. But that Feral Carnosaur with a Sword of Charon, 14 melee defense, all this anti-large, huge armor piercing from Lewin, and Earthblood trying to heal them up while they're being assaulted from all these different angles, and that Feral Carnosaur has had it. So, Mazdamundi is in here, Sordacaron hitting him too, Skinks coming in, the Temple Guards are just about to reach. But plenty of archer fire coming in because these guys have rallied. Over on this side though, the Feral Stegodon is on his way back, and Saurus Warriors are trying to get in here. The net has worn off, so the cavalry are going to charge in, hit those Saurus Warriors nice and hard. Again, Sordacaron still active, and it just sticks to Lewin. Anything he's near will be affected by it. So here, Saurus Warriors got immediately terrified, and now they're onto the Stegodon. But these peasant bowmen have been a little bit caught out. But look at this, Temple Guard still not in the battle they want to be in, you know? Mazdamundi and the Stegodon, they're just constantly out of the reach of the Temple Guards. So, yeah, the Grail Knights are going to go for those fights if it means shutting that stuff down, and then they can pull out before the Temple Guards arrive. And here, there are some Men-at-Arms, and Spearmen-at-Arms are going to replace them, get in this fight. More Spearmen-at-Arms, they're going to pin this stuff down for a while. Sadly, though, the damsel is, well, she's had better days. She's had better days, but she's still going. You know, her strength isn't her health pool. She's not going to be there tanking damage. Doesn't matter if she's almost dead. As long as she doesn't get hit again, she can still heal people. Speaking of healing people, another Apotheosis on these Cold One Spear Riders. That is going to be a big help to, you know, keep their health up and counter all of these knights. And here, I mean, these Temple Guards have no problem killing all this stuff, but their health is starting to go down because these archers, they have some okay armor piercing, and that will start to add up. But it's not long before Spearmen-at-Arms get terrified, because of course Mazdamundi is still here. Over here though, Lewin decides he's just going to take out these Cold One Spear Riders, and he's going to hunt down this Feral Stegodon. He does not want this guy coming back. Oh, also, forgot to mention, yeah, over here, the Green Knight, he's escorting the Feral Carnosaur away. So he'll be returning after a short interval. So over here, more peasants running away, but the archers are still online, and they are getting some withering fire into Mazdamundi and those Temple Guard. While the Grail Knights in this back line, with the help of Lewin, they've got rid of this Stegodon, and they can start just picking off these little idle units, you know, these units that aren't with the rest of the pack. They can start getting whittled down. Of course, all this poison from the Chameleon Skinks is slowing these guys down, and sure, it can't necessarily be capitalized on, but it means it's slowing down their effectiveness, right? It's going to take longer for them to reach the Skinks, so it's going to take longer to kill the Skinks, which means it's going to be longer before they can do something else. So it's still buying time, even though it might not seem like it. So more infantry is going to be coming out of the trees once more, and the archers are continuing to fire in. Temple Guards, they do have bronze shields. You know, for a halberd unit, having shields is fairly rare. It's just them and Tomb Guard, I think. I think it's just them. But yeah, they have some shields, so they'll be able to shrug some of the damage off. But 85 armor isn't the most, so they will still be taking some damage from all this archer fire. Sadly, though, the Skink cohorts are very quick, and they need to be stopped, and it's very difficult to throw something at them with the Temple Guard so close behind. Over on this side, though, the Grail Knights have got involved in a big fight with all these Saurus Warriors. Lewin has decided to pin down these Chameleon Skinks, and Mazdamundi sneaks up to him and actually gets him for a bit of damage there. You can see he has been healing the whole time, but yeah, Lewin's been taking damage as it's gone along. So he's going to get a nice little charge into here, manage to terrify these Saurus Warriors, and now they're going to charge in again. Another Sword of Charon putting their, wow, armor down at 30. It's pathetic. So they're going to get charged, and yeah, immediately terrified. Really low melee defense for the Chameleon Skinks. 0, one of the lowest stats you can have. So they're getting really hurt, and Mazdamundi also having his stats ruined a bit, but he's still got very high armor, very high health pool, so it's still not easy to crack him. It's all the other units that you want to get. So over here you can see the Green Knight, he's loitering. He's just going to sit there and heal. He's not needed right now. You see the balance of power very much in the favour of Bretonnia, and a lot of that is just the Green Knight having a huge amount of health and costing nearly 3 grand. So that's superb. He doesn't have the Dolorous Blade, though, which I think is a bit sad, but, you know, when he costs as much as he does, you don't want to just keep piling on more cost, especially if there is an Arcane Unforging on the board and he just gets killed in a couple of casts. That would be dire. But anyway, King Lewin, he's suffering a lot. These Chameleon Skinks are actually doing some good work here, and these peasants, they're all getting chased off and shattered and terrified and shattered and dying to Mazdamundi. It's not good. It's not good at all for these Bretonnian peasants. But some archers are still online. These Skinks have managed to get chased off by the damsel. You know, these peasant bowmen, they're just hanging on. And Lewin has managed to chase off a lot of these units. And all the while, Green Knight, he's just sat there replenishing health. And suddenly, there's a lot of Bretonnian left, but not a lot of Lizardmen. So that's pretty good. Very tough stuff to crack, though, with Temple Guard and Lord Mazdamundi, but they've got the maneuverability, you know, advantage. They don't need to engage unless they have to. But time is ticking, because Mazdamundi will be able to catch up to this stuff. He jumps into these peasant bowmen. They're going to take so much damage, they're going to break immediately, and these guys will just terrify as soon as Mazdamundi's anywhere near them, to be honest. And here, this is very bad. The damsel should never be getting caught out by Mazdamundi. Never. So she's having to use a regrowth on herself to make sure she stays in the fight. But that's very expensive, and when you look at the amount of health potential on these units of Grail Knights, I mean, not huge model counts, but there's still a lot of healing there. So regrowth on them would make them really useful. But as it stands, their health pools are so low, it's not going to take many hits for them to start losing models and losing effectiveness very fast. But it looks here like King Lewin has charged in. Peasants are trying to keep these Temple Guards bogged down, but the Lizardman player here very cleverly is just force-pathing them through. He's just getting the Temple Guards straight through. He's not going to sit there and fight the peasants. No, he's going to keep pushing them through. Doesn't matter if you are stuck on these peasants, they're barely going to take a scratch from a load of man-at-arms and spearmen at arms. He's going to keep pushing forward. Grail Knight's keeping this stuff pinned. Green Knight helping to terrify things and doing some good armor piercing. He's going to be able to do a big chunk of damage to Mazdamundi if he ever gets round to it. But still a lot of Temple Guard, and they're going to hurt. More archers shooting in. The Grail Knights have got out fairly scot-free. Very injured, but still fairly good model counts considering their health pools. So that's great news. Temple Guard being bogged down. Their anti-large will actually whittle down the Green Knight in time. But Mazdamundi is going for the Peasant Bowman, which isn't a bad idea. And here, Sword of Coron again. So 11 melee defense, being sandwiched by a bunch of units, they're going to hit every time. And with only 55 armor now, they're going to get terrified very fast and shatter. And Mazdamundi's had enough. He's had enough. And most of that was just down to the balance of power being massively affected by the expense of the armies. You've always got to take that into account. Something like the Green Knight, if he's allowed to just have full health at the end of the fight, that's like 3 grand just sat there. And, you know, that's as much as Mazdamundi can cost, you know. It's, that's a big chunk of value, and that's a big sway for the balance of power, and that's going to affect it very quickly. So yeah, Mazdamundi is very expensive, but if you can wipe out the rest of his forces, and you've still got a very healthy Green Knight, you've still got your Lord in action, you know, a Spellcaster, you've got some Grail Knights left, you know, that's all you need. As long as you can keep out of Mazdamundi's way and slowly trim things off his army, eventually he is just going to quit. So I thought that was an incredibly cool way to win. You know, play very indirectly, win by basically just making them lose heart in the fight, thanks to maintaining high value in your army with so few units. I thought that was very interesting. I didn't expect it to go that way. You know, I think the Lizardmen, they still had a lot of fight left in them. But I think, yeah, just having Mazdamundi run away from the Temple Guard, he needed them to sit right on top of it, absorb a load of the charges that would have come in for the Temple Guards, block a load of those arrows if need be. You know, those arrows, they're tough and everything, but they didn't have that much ammo left. Maybe you should have weathered that and just forced your way through these Grail Knights. You know, just keep Mazdamundi there long enough. It would have terrified the last of the peasants away very quickly, and Mazdamundi could have moved on with his escort. I think that was probably the one serious misplay here. I think Pacifist Warlord here, yeah, that's I like that. That's fun. It's an oxymoron. So this guy, he's an oxymoron, but he wasn't a moron. You could tell he was playing this well. You know, the odd unit did get caught out, but that was very much due to the hard work of Rightest here. You know, making sure to constantly keep his guys moving, make sure not to get units caught out. Apart from that one time that the damsel got caught out, but we'll ignore that. Poor damsel. Yeah, she healed up. She's fine. Don't worry, guys. She's fine. She's fine. But yeah, this is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So this is a tough matchup. This is a tough matchup. Bretonnia have very little right to win this. So very little right. But hey, he is the rightest. He has the most rights. Is that what that means? I don't know. But I guess this is evidence in some weird, convoluted way. So guys, if you enjoyed this, please do comment, like, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Have a good day, guys.